Hi, I'm Maureen. Nice to meet you. Everyone's born into a family, and then you can create your own spirit family. Hi, this is Maureen St. Germain, and welcome to Spirit Family, a place where you can learn about spiritual things, make new friends, and learn about spiritual people who have spirit family as well. My friends Lynn Andrews and Dannion Brinkley. Lynn, you've been around a long time. Dannion, you've been around a long time. So I want you to tell us a little bit about your life experience and, what does spirit family mean to you?
Spirit family is something that you cannot be without.
I like it.
And when I was a little girl, I could always see lights around people. I could see their pain, their dis-ease. And I realized very early on that I couldn't tell people about what I saw because it upset them. They felt that I was invading their privacy in some way. Mm-hmm. So I started being somebody that I was not. And I have noticed throughout the world, after writing 20 books and traveling in almost every country, that people are afraid to take their power, man or woman, but in particularly women. I'm a woman, I've written from the woman's standpoint, and I write about shamanism. And shamanism is a word that nobody quite understands. And it means basically that you learn how to choreograph the energies in the universe. Shamans lived in community. There were tribes, there were native people, and we traveled about in a village, in a sense. So everybody was in community. I mean, you would never
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah, you would never say at that period of time, gee, I would love to find a community. But now, people come to me and they say, gee, I want to form a community somewhere. And I say, well, you know what? We've been doing that all of my life, and certainly for the last 26 years, by forming schools, a way to learn about the spiritual life. And, spiritual life isn't just saying I'm in spiritual life. Mm-hmm. It has to do with dreaming. It has to do with finding the oracle within yourself.
And a safe place to tell that story.
And you need to feel safe also. Mm-hmm. How does a person feel safe enough to take their power in the world? How do you define actually what you want and what you need? If you've come out of abuse early on in life, I have found, then you sabotage your world later on in life. And that's a whole subject that we don't need to talk about here, except the fact that when you have these difficulties, it's hard to form community.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
What you're talking about is something very beautiful. We all want it, we all need it, but so many people are afraid of it.
Yeah.
They're afraid of letting people become close to them.
So this show is about making it safe and helping people hear the stories of people that have been there, done that, and are helping many people get there. Dannion, what about you?
I think that when you're looking at the family unit, I'm a big proponent of shamanism. I mean, I'm a big pal of Lynn's because I love what she does. And I wanted to accent this point. Until we as human beings realize that we are not planting ourselves on the earth, the greatest thing that's ever happened to us is electricity. Because electricity allows us to break the inherent natural laws of the ethereal universe that we live in. It's like the stratosphere charged instead of the ionosphere. And by not taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the sand and the water and stopping and letting the divine flow up through you at 7.2, the Schumann resonance, and you flow down with positive interaction, you never really charge yourself, okay? Well, the community is about where people can achieve that goal. Okay, and that's so important about what Lynn tries to teach. You got to commune, you got to hug a tree, you got to plant a seed, you got to put an apple, plant a seed. You have to do something that co-creativity creates in your life. That's your job here, to co-create, and you do that. And co-creating with aligning with the earth is just as important.
Now, wait a minute. a lot of people don't know about your story. So I want to hear a little bit about your story and your experience, because you have a very intimate relationship with electricity.
This is my story. God created this little planet called the Earth, and she gave it life. And we are living creatures, completely and totally connected to it, scientifically proven, based on the Higgs boson particle being generated. God even has a scientific name, dark matter.
Huh.
Okay, now I think that's a funny name to give her, but you know,
What the heck?
she's moody. For me, my soul family
Actually, it's not so funny when you think about darkness in the female anyway, because in the ancient day, they actually referred to the divine feminine as black. That's where that whole concept of Black Madonna came from.
but that's the combination of all colors.
I'd love to talk about that.
Jump in.
The Black Madonna is black, in my way of thinking, because the Black Madonna was the unrecognized one.
Exactly.
Mary Magdalene, or the sacred women, or
Exactly.
the sacred feminine, was the unrecognized energy.
Exactly. And it goes even deeper because it was juxtaposed to the sun, which was the God energy, and you weren't complete till you had unified both of those in yourself.
Yeah, well, my favorite one of those was Lilith, God's first wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adam's first wife, yeah.
No, God's first wife. She ran off with some demons, and then she hooked up with Adam, and then after she took all the pears in the valley, and she ran off with that snake, and God said, okay, I'll take a rib and I'll make you a perfect woman. And what he was trying to do, he was having pity on himself because Lilith ran off with a demon, so he gave Adam the perfect Eve. Now, if you read it in Old Hebrew, that's exactly what it says.
Interesting.
So I like Lilith. She's got a little dark side to her, too.
Well, you have to have balance.
Absolutely.
So who's your spirit family, Dannion?
I think my spirit family is, in this plane, my spirit family is my wife and my kids. Okay, because how they've metamorphosized and changed my life in protecting me from being even more narcissistic than I am is that. But I think my overall spiritual family outside of that, because that's my greatest teachers, is the people I have passed with. You know, if you don't know me, I've been dead 2 or 3 times. And my basic line is this: no one dies and no one goes to hell. Why? If you died, it would have happened to me 1 or 3 times. If you go to hell, there is no question I would have been the one that goes to hell. So if I
Because
didn't,
you were a hitman.
honey, so if I didn't go to hell, nobody watching this or even thinking about hell could easily put that as a mindset. Okay. But everybody will go through this. No question, you can get over it. You can think what you want, this will happen. The greatest part about this life, it has an inevitable structure called transition. It is inevitable. Okay, once that word begins to seek into the conscious of the human psyche, inevitability, you will either run from it or you will embrace it, engage it to learn from it. What my goal is to teach people to embrace and engage within the structure of that. But I think my spirit family is all those guys I've been at the bedside with. You will see your entire life pass before you in a 360-degree panorama. You will have missed nothing. You will laugh at your own self for stuff that you constructed as your reality to learn the lesson you chose to learn. The purpose of this life, this is the purpose of life. You have learned a skill set somewhere, and you had perfected to the point that you have allowed a time to practice it, okay? To come and practice that skill set. Because we all want to be co-creators. We all want to truly represent the spark of the divine that we are, the total family member. So that's our whole purpose, that in the nature of why we come. And once you see your whole life pass before you in a 3-dimensional hologram, you watch it from a second person point of view as if you were your own best friend. And then you see the stupid stuff you did, and then you see the funny stuff you did, and you laugh, and then you literally will become every person that you've ever encountered, and you'll feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person.
So you're feeling what they're feeling.
You're going to be them. You're not feeling what they're feeling.
You're them.
You are them, so you better pay attention to not what you're doing, but your intention of why you're doing it. And then at the end of it is this: if God could not come today, or as you define divinity, if God could not come today and God sent you in the life you just reviewed, what difference did you and God make?
Wow.
Okay, so in my near-death experiences, the legendary Dannion near-death experience, based on that, that's what I preach and say. What did I do? I became a hospice volunteer. I've been a hospice volunteer from the time I could get up and walk after taking 2 years to learn to walk and feed myself, 38 years. I have more than 32,000 hours at the bedside. And I've been with 2,008 people going from this world to the next, and 341 taking their last breath. And I built one of the largest end-of-life care volunteer programs for dying veterans so that I could train people to reach out into that market.
So if you're listening and you're moved, one of the things you can do is go sign up on what location?
The Twilight Brigade. And that is my second spiritual family. First is my wife and my kids, okay,
Yeah,
and all that insanity they bring home with them.
Yeah, and that you bring home with you.
No, I don't never do anything wrong. I'm perfect.
Okay, so Lynn, what about your spirit family? We were talking about that before we were on camera. And
Well, first, I'm in it.
Well, absolutely.
It's my baby.
Couldn't not be in it.
and you guys go way back.
We
Oh,
go
God.
very way back.
From when the early days of we call it the Swami business.
Yeah.
But I was in love with her. I watched the shamanistic traditions, which I'm a devotee. I do full moon ceremonies. Me and Kat, we look at the moons and we look at those cycles, and she had it down to a place that the feminine could defend itself. There was an art form from where witches were that created fear, but there is a nature of the shamanistic tradition that is holy because it was the first powers on the earth. The first one was the native tradition of the shaman. It was the first that vibrated in that harmonic resonance that you could interact with the divine with, and everything else is built off the top of it. And so and she was magnificent in the defense of women, and I was in love with her so long ago.
So the sisterhood, tell us about the sisterhood.
The Sisterhood of the Shields are a circle of women, 44 of us. The women come from native peoples all around the world. They are completely secret because...
How did you find them then?
Well, they found me.
You found her.
They found me. They came and it was...
Wow.
It was part of a legend, actually.
James Redfield is one of the 44 sisters.
Is he really?
Well, yeah,
All right,
sister? Well,
So they found
it's still
you and they
it's using the
came to you.
feminine power.
But did they come to you when you were already doing spiritual work? Or did they kind of show up in your world and you're going, what the heck's going on?
I was looking for a teacher, and I went all over the world, and I was, working with different wonderful men, teachers, but I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm of this time and of this soil, and I wanted to learn from a woman here. So I became part of the Sisterhood of the Shields.
Wow.
And
They
the
initiated
sisterhood, this is a stretch for a lot of people, but the wisdom and the knowledge of the sisterhood was seeded here thousands and thousands of years ago. And the rangas, the sacred, beautiful teachings that are hidden in the 7 clay pots have come to light for many people
And
that
they
I
come
work
to
with.
light with your writing, and you were the person that was charged with bringing this knowledge.
They asked me, please, go. I'll never forget Agnes Whistling Elk stood up and she held up her hands and she said, let the eagles fly. Take these teachings to your people. And I said, gee, what a grand idea. How do I do that? And so it was the beginning of writing books. It was the beginning of talking to people about seeing the face of God. In essence, how do you describe that? It's the unknowable. You can't really describe that. You can only talk about the experience that took you there.
An experience.
So I write my books as experiences. I teach people today. I have 3 different schools, and I teach them all these different beautiful acts of beauty that create mirrors for them. So they have to look in that mirror. They look in the mirror and they go, oh my God, and they begin to progress on the road to enlightenment. I mean, that's what we're doing.
But they're using that energy that is the subtle beauty of the beginning energy. Those who were the people who lived in the native or pagan traditions in the early realms of this part of physical evolution, their power was first because it was the one Gaia touched first. In a shamanistic tradition, a woman sees skill sets and power that she can draw upon, that she's always safe. There is the law, and then there's the nature of the law, and shamanism teaches you the nature.
So as we close, I'd like you guys to give me one idea or one thing that you'd like the audience to help them understand about their spirit family, or how they can make use of these ideas. You know, they can get your book, for example, but you know, what would you share with them as a personal message?
I think this is the time when we have more available to us today.
The veil's thin. The veil's thinning.
The veil is thin.
The veil is thinning, exactly. We're moving, as in India they would say, out of a Kali Yuga that is of death, basically. We're moving into higher consciousness. What does that mean? It means that you voraciously read, study, talk to people, find another person that you can just smile at, make happy every day in your life, bring light into the world. And if you don't feel happy enough to do that, figure out why.
And get to work on it.
Yeah.
Mine's easy. If you had to stop and look at your life today, and you never know when the bell's going to ring, everybody. You never know when it's going to ring. But today, if you had to look at your life in the past, if God could not come today, and God had sent you in the life you just reviewed, what difference has you and God made in your past? If you look at it from that point, how many times you said hello, or how many times you said you welcome, and how many times, not all that Satan worship and all the crap I did bad, but you just look at it from what difference did we make? And then you can look at all the bad stuff. Then all of a sudden you have a pathway. I get up in the morning for two reasons, because it's polarity, two reasons. Because I got up, and because of the Twilight Brigade, a veteran won't die alone because I opened my eyes this morning. That means I'm in service, and I'm going to be in service all day based on that. And second, I have to make a living and keep everybody in my world happy and to go on about my business. But with those two balances, a purpose that makes me fit in this world, and a desire and a motive that no vet die alone, I am in harmony, balance, and peace. And if you come to the Twilight Brigade, and if you become a part of this process of understanding how we transition, it's only going to empower your life to be greater and have more fun than ever before.
Thank you both. Lynn Andrews, Dannion Brinkley, this is Maureen St. Germain, and you are watching Spirit Family.